Welcome back to another episode of Harmonious at Lunch, the show that fuels your business success. I'm Brandon Gano, your host and guide through the world of harmonious business growth. Today, we're unlocking powerful strategies with industry experts to help your business thrive. If you're a business owner, entrepreneur, or executive, you are in the right place. Join me and our incredible guests today on the journey to clarity, growth, and success. It is time to revolutionize your approach to business. Let's dive in with another episode of Harmonious at Lunch. Welcome back into some more bite-sized business advice. Today's episode, we're talking about how to 5X, that's right, 5X your revenue in 2025. That's a big claim in a short amount of time, but we're going to see how far we can get here. Mitch Carson, welcome to the show, and thank you for being here.
Well, Brandon, thank you for having me. I'm excited to share with your listeners.
I am too. This sounds awesome. 5X your revenue in 1 year. I've heard all the claims, the 10X, the 20X, all that other stuff that's out there. We won't name names, right? But
we know exactly who we're talking about.
Okay, let's be very clear. It's Grant Cardone. I'm not a fan. Anyway, Mitch, though, 5X is still a big claim. So I'm curious to dive right in. We don't have a lot of time, and we want to help people with their businesses. What is this claim? What is it backed by? How can you guarantee 5X?
Well, it's not just 5X revenues. It's 5X and increase your profits at the same time, because we live for the bottom line. There's one thing to increase revenues, but if the profits don't sink or start expanding the margin percentage, you're doing something wrong. And largely that has to do with you're paid based on how you're perceived in the marketplace. Full stop. Imagine, Brandon, I see a ring on your finger, so it looks like you said, I do. All right.
I did.
You did. And you did say, I do. And so did she, because there you are. At the time of when you got down on one knee, you had to impress her. Now, you probably had good signals from a woman, because oftentimes they give us signals. Yes, it's time. You got down on one knee. Let's take you back in time. And you're going to present this box to her saying, honey, I love you. I want you to be my forever, or whatever sweet love language you used at the time. We all have our language. And you got down and you crack it open and then you present it to her. The excitement is on her face. She is thinking immediately, like most women in America and probably worldwide, how much did he spend on me for this size stone, based on how much he values me? Now, there are going to be claims, oh, I don't care about the size of the ring. I know he loves me and we're saving for a house. BS. They want to be valued. Okay? I'm going to refute that claim. I'm sure I'm going to have some people from the left attacking me very shortly after listening to this recording. I'm talking about it's perceived value. Now, if you crack this box open, let's just say it's a 1 carat ring. Let's make it pretty simple and fairly normal in the market, let's say, that we operate in, okay? Both guys in the professional space. 1 to 2 carats would probably be a reasonable range. Would you agree, Brandon?
I have no idea, Mitch. It's actually my wife's stone is a family. It's from her grandmother. I couldn't even tell you the first thing about it.
All right. Well, nonetheless,
and I've only been married once, so I don't know. I'm not an expert in this.
I've been married once and divorced once, so I know the story. All right. Okay. It's much happier to get the marriage part. So you're cracking this box open with the ring, and the box that she sees is from Target. I don't care with solid marketing that they change the pronunciation to Target, or even worse, if you bought the diamond in the jewelry section at Costco, which they've entered that market. If she sees that, I'm sorry. In most cases in the U.S., unless she eats granola and hugs trees, she's going to feel as though you don't value her. And that's perceived value. So let me set this up properly. Now let's go to the other extreme. There's a box that is wrapped in blue and white paper. Okay. And you do this in a 5-star restaurant. The first you did at Cheesecake Factory. Cheesecake Factory, you cracked it open in front of everybody and the box is Target. Okay. You're going to have a different reaction and you might get the cheesecake squished on your face. And no, you don't love me. Oh, who knows? But then if you're inside the finest steakhouse in town, vegans just go with the flow for a second. And if you're in the finest steakhouse in town and you drop down to one knee and you give her this ring in blue and white paper from Tiffany, what do you think the reaction's going to be? He spent a lot of money on me. I am buying into the brand of Tiffany. Unbeknownst to her and most people in the world, those diamonds are exactly the same quality. They were bought from the same people in Antwerp, Belgium, and one is packaged and sent to Tiffany, and one goes to the mall diamond buyers, diamond stores. Some goes to Zales, some goes to blah, blah, blah. They all come from the same place, South Africa. They might get segregated slightly by quality, but there isn't that much difference, if any. It's the same that holds true for Mercedes versus Lexus. In my opinion, Lexus makes a better car, but the packaging and the brand that has been placed on Mercedes is still much higher. My ex-wife at the time, no way. When we started doing well financially, she wanted a Benz. We had to get the Benz. I was driving a Lexus. I said, honey, this is a better car. I've owned both before we were married. And Japanese cars are much more reliable. Parts are less than a Mercedes. They come from Germany. They charge more. I couldn't strip her of the value. And the value perception. And the same holds true for a business. So if Dr. Smith, because I asked you a question, who is your market before we started the recording today, Brandon? And you were very clear who it is and who it is not. So let's go granular somewhat. Let's say that Humanop, your new company, is doing consulting and helping scale a dental practice with 7 dentists on staff. They've got multiple oral or hygienists. They have an oral surgeon. They have an endodontist. They have a prosthodontist, all of the specialties. So it's a comprehensive practice. And they're doing about $10 million in revenue in a year. It's possible because I consulted for a dental practice out in New York that met that description. And they were doing that. And they charged premium prices. How did they get away with charging $225 for a simple teeth cleaning versus the dentist that's in the outskirts in Queens? This outfit was in Manhattan on the Upper East Side in a Tony building. Very nice. The receptionist was beautiful. They had latte machine in the lobby, in the waiting room. It was beautifully set. They expected to pay more based on the deliverables. They expected to pay $225. A crown was $6,000. When anywhere else outside of the Upper East Side in a practice of that level, it would be $2,000. Maybe you go down to Mexico, you pay $700, and they're all trained at the same university. On the Upper East Side, Dr. Blank, I'm going to say, charges $6,000 because he's got all the trappings and the expectation is higher. So number one of how do you 10X? No, that's the wrong guy. We both unsubscribe on that man. All right. Let's just say 5X. 5X is Mitch because I'm realistic and I speak the truth. It's all about how do you package yourself such that people come to you magnetically because they're attracted to who you are and how you're perceived versus the budget guy that is competing based on price. There's no distinction. So what I am a big proponent of is follow the brands that are in front of us that charge premium prices. Why do Mercedes buyers pay 10, 20% more for the same vehicle that's under the hood? Why do Lexus buyers pay for the same quality, same car that is matched with a Toyota. It's the same company. It's just a different brand. Lexus is the high-end brand of Toyota. Do you think there's any difference between a Camry and a Lexus E3, whatever their numbers are? I don't know the latest LS 430. It's the same vehicle. You open up the hood, it's Toyota Motor Company. Same bushings, same filter system. Everything's the same except the packaging. And you enjoy, and they'll pick you up and take you to the service bay or give you a free loaner. And Toyota, get a Grab or get an Uber. Grab Uber. Pay for yourself or have Martha meet you outside after you dropped your car off. It's a different expectation. Premium prices are branded in a premium way. Now let's bring it down to why these dentists or businesses get to charge premium prices. Everything in their brand is congruent. They've got the most media. They have the highest level of service. So all of these elements, everything from the point of walking in the door, however walking in the door is, it can be a virtual, it can be an e-commerce brand. They're clicking. What is the perceived experience? It's all about the customer experience. And, the service I deliver is elevating not just the customer experience, the perception. Customer experience probably falls more into your lap as an overall strategist. But the perceived value piece is where I come in with what I do, is raising the perception, getting people covered on network television, which is by far more credible than being on Billy Bob's YouTube channel. And he may be a YouTuber with, I'm an authority. I'm a mover and a shaker. Wonderful, Billy Bob. Go to the dentist, and then we'll put you on camera after you fill in the missing teeth. Okay, you're probably good for water fights in the pool, but not for brand building. If you're on network television, Brandon, I know that you're a young guy, but think of your parents and maybe your grandparents. They're the ones with the money. Their credibility assignment to television versus a YouTube channel, unless you're a YouTube channel that is so huge, or if you're the Joe Rogan podcast and he's got his own YouTube channel that corresponds to that, that's still a newer platform. I have great respect for podcasts today, yet it's changed over the last 5 years. If you go back 10 years, podcasts had no credibility unless you were Joe Rogan. He's been doing it a long time, or John Lee Dumas. Those were the two. He was more in the business sector. Joe is big business. We know, he interviewed President Trump. But they're coming up, yet still the highest credibility is network television. And if someone has been covered as a feature in Forbes magazine, high credibility, versus the local newspaper in Des Moines, Iowa, where they wrote about, Joe Blow. It's a different perceived value. And if it's Forbes quality, Forbes is a brand, it's a name. And it's a matter of creating this environment to where you can get the premium people that'll pay premium prices and you have premium profits. So when I'm saying 5X, I mean it. Very few companies will go through the efforts of publicizing themselves. And I liken this, Brandon, to Italian racing. Italians race, and first thing they do is they rip off the rearview mirror. All they're focused on is forward. Don't look at your back at your competition, because once you embrace publicity, you never stop. You don't have to worry about what's behind you because you are already 1 or 2 steps ahead of them. Some people look at, if when you do business in China, oh my gosh, they're going to rip off our patents. Well, be ahead of them. Be ahead of the curve. Anticipate this. Know that it's going to happen. Competition does exist. It will always exist. Outpace them. Like you guys have a patent on a particular process that you guys use in you have in your business.
Yep.
That key, that allows you to differentiate yourself from others. We'll talk about television for you guys later, but you get the ideas. How do you talk to clients such that they perceive you and never ask you for a discount. You're at a different level.
Yeah, I love everything you're saying, and I agree with it. I'm curious too, because, getting on network television, there's only so many slots available. You
Correct.
can't do that all day, every day outside
No,
of
you
being the
can't.
host. But you're here. You're on Billy Bob's YouTube channel. So what is the value and the balance between hitting singles and home runs, so to speak, in getting that brand authority out for your business?
Well, I think the brand authority with television is unparalleled. And Las Vegas is the market that I operate in. This is where I have my show. It is a stepping stone to climb to Mount Everest. Mount Everest for us in the television industry is New York. There is no higher market than New York City. You're on television in New York, you've hit the big time. You're at the Harvard of education. You're at the Harvard of media. That's number one. Other people say, oh, what about MIT? MIT would be Los Angeles. Of course, number two market. But I'm using Las Vegas as a stepping stone to go to the big leagues, because that's where we want to go. And also, it's a stepping stone to get to Forbes, which I would liken as the ultimate print publication for business owners and online publication. I mean, there are others that are big, but Forbes usually is what comes up to number one when you survey people. Entrepreneur Press is another, if you're an up-and-coming entrepreneur, but Forbes is impressive even at the Fortune 100 level. That's the ultimate. You're on the cover of Forbes, or you have a feature in Forbes. That's big time. Or Wall Street Journal is a newspaper. You're covered in the Wall Street Journal. I was interviewed for the Wall Street Journal 24 years ago, and it's a big deal. It was a big deal for me. It's like, wow, that's pretty credible. Now it's a newspaper, it's gone, but Forbes is a big deal. I was written up as somebody else was interviewed and mentioned me in Forbes, so I can refer to that. Referred to my service. She referred to me. She got interviewed by a contributor to Forbes, so I can say I was in Forbes legitimately. That's good branding. And that's what I think makes somebody, you first have to set up the flow for a business to handle the increase of 5X. And how do you do that? You set up systems, operations, and then you put the fuel in the tank, which is the branding and the publicity, in order to allow that capacity to run profitably.
Yeah, and it's interesting because it's not the chicken or the egg, which most people tend to think it is. Because if you don't focus on how you deliver your service, let's call that the operations.
Sure.
And you flood whatever service or product you have, you flood people to it with a premium brand, with a premium aura around your business, and you drop the ball in delivering the service,
you're finished.
You've killed the whole thing. That's like being at the steakhouse with a Target box to take your ring out.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
have to do both at the same time.
Yeah.
But
planning, isn't that called planning?
It is called planning. Most people don't do it. You'd be surprised. That's who we work with, is the ops, the structure of businesses, and making sure you have what it takes to deliver on your brand promise.
Yes.
And the word planning is foreign to some people, but that's okay. That's why we're here. That's why we're listening to the show, right?
Yes.
What we want to help you with. So I'm curious, for a business who does want to go this path, are there businesses where, maybe network isn't, it just doesn't matter. You're a local business. You want to stand out in a market, so to speak, a geographic location. What's the cutoff for going national, or is there one?
It depends on the business, and that's why I offer a free media review. And I will just tell people, television may not be appropriate for you in most cases. For authors and people that go national, international, it's absolutely helpful, and it sets you up to then possibly get into your local market. And if your market is strictly confined to a 5-mile radius, being on TV in your local market may be appropriate. Writing in a newspaper, your local handout newspaper, might be appropriate. Providing free deliverables to the local community involvements might be appropriate. The key is to do something. Do something. Think of doing something so you can rip off that rear rear view mirror. Remove it with a plan. Know where you're going and get into fifth gear so you don't have to look back. Be the differentiator in your marketplace. And it really depends on your market. Sometimes it's local advertising and marketing. Sometimes it's national. Sometimes it's international. It really depends. And you have to assess that.
Yeah, I love this conversation, though, because I think often we overcomplicate growing to any scale, 5X, 2X, 10X, whatever it is. It's in a lot of cases, it's really as simple as positioning yourself correctly in the market and making sure you can deliver on that promise consistently.
Yeah,
And
you got to have the systems in
you
place.
can continue to scale.
Yeah, you got to have the systems in place, Brandon, to handle that flex of new volume.
Right.
I mean, capacity isn't a problem we should have. If you put all this together and your capacity can't be managed, oh my gosh, you've just shot yourself in the butt. Shame on you.
I agree. So call Mitch and then call me at the very same time. We'll help you
out. Yeah. We'd work in tandem because you would handle the operations, which isn't my strong suit. It's not my area. I know how to make the splash. Managing the splash falls into your basket.
So let's say people want to make the splash. You mentioned it before. How can they get in touch with you to see if this path to grow their business is the correct path for them?
Okay, you got to use the entire URL, www.getinterviewedguaranteed.com/meet with Mitch. You'll see it in the show notes, but please include the www. The program that the calendars requires that, or are you going to see a broken link? Yes, you have to do the whole thing. Meet with Mitch, and you'll go through a light assessment to see if I can help you. If not, you'll find out, and we can get on a call and chat about your media plan and see what's best for you. And that's a gift for people who are listening to this call. In this interview.
I love it. It is on the screen, the full link, www. Yes, we tested it before we started recording. That's why we're harping on that. It'll be linked correctly in the show notes, wherever you're watching or listening down below, along with Mitch's website. So if you're interested, go check that stuff out. Mitch, I can't thank you enough for being here. This was great.
Great, buddy. I appreciate it. And can't wait for you to be a guest on my show.
Looking forward to it. We'll put that link down there as well if it comes out before this episode does. But anyway, wherever you're watching and listening, thank you for being here. Please subscribe. We love putting out 5 episodes a week to help you build a more harmonious business and life. We will see you on tomorrow's episode of Harmonious at Lunch.